Hello and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good people of Tube. Hope you're well today, hope you're feeling grand and all is well in your world. Hello everybody. We're to the NQ Wednesday. Let's get to question one. So question one today is, what's your opinion on the Red Hot Chili Peppers album, By the Way? I feel it gets overlooked. I don't think I would say that By the Way gets overlooked, but I kind of know what you mean. You know, people talk about Californication or Stadium Arcadium or one of the others, you know, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Mother's Milk, you know, some of the Hillel stuff. By the way, kind of, it does take a little bit of a back seat, I suppose. I mean, it wasn't the best time for them as a band, if you look into it, because of John being a kind of like a bit of a dictator, if you will, in the band. You know, he was very, by the way, he was very much kind of like John's iron fist, you know what I mean? It was like, you know, do what I tell you kind of thing, you know, and that was around a period where Flea had enough of him and Flea wanted to quit. You know, he had enough of John, and they had to have words eventually and clear the air. But, so By the Way is kind of like a tainted album in a way, you know, and you kind of hear it in the album. There's a lot of tension in that album, you know what I mean? When in the music, you can hear it. There's a lot of kind of like sadness and anger and kind of melancholy stuff to it. It's not. It's very dark, in a way. I think personally, like, you know, not necessarily just kind of like in subject matter, but kind of like tonally. You know, there's a lot of kind of even the upbeat bits have this kind of tinge of darkness to them. I don't know. But personally, I love By the Way. It was the first Chili Peppers album I learnt front to back. When I first started playing guitar, you know, I learnt every song on that album. I can still remember pretty much, you know, 90% of it. The only songs I can't remember are Warm Tape and Tear. Yeah, they're the only two I can't remember. But that's mainly because they're mainly synth driven. There is guitar in them, but there is kind of like synth in them. I don't really remember saying that. I don't really remember much of University Speaking either, because that was a guitar. That was a guitar. That was a song that kind of like, you know, didn't really appeal to me as much. I do like University Speaking, but it's not. There's some really cool chords in it, and I like the way the kind of riff is. But I like the solo as well. But it was a song that kind of never really appealed to me too much. So I kind of forgotten some. I mean, I still probably, if I played it, I'd probably remember it very quickly. But I don't remember it like, you know, prompted, so to say. But like I say, it was the first Chili Peppers album I learned front to back. I learned every song. By the Way was the song that kind of initially got me interested in the Chili Peppers in the first place, and then obviously seeing John play Under the Bridge on top of Pops was the catalyst for that. But yeah, I kind of know what you mean about it kind of being overlooked. I don't think By the Way gets overlooked. I think it's kind of like, it's got a funny vibe to it, personally. I think it's kind of like a dark kind of vibe. But it's a great album, and the songs on it are amazing. You know, you got Dose, This Is the Place, Venice Queen, you know, Minor Thing, Don't Forget Me. You know, you got all these amazing songs on By the Way. It's an amazing album, and it got some. By the Way has some of the most amazing B-sides as well. There's some amazing B-sides that came off By the Way. But there's a lot of tension in that album, and you can kind of feel it when you listen to it. You know, it always feels kind of tensed up, and you can kind of feel the atmosphere. I can't imagine it would have been a particularly nice atmosphere in the studio when they were recording that album because of the way John was, you know. So I kind of imagine people do kind of like maybe subconsciously pick up on that, because music does that. It can kind of make you feel certain emotions that aren't necessarily sometimes your own. They come with the music, so to say. You know what I mean? So I think maybe that's kind of something that's going on with By the Way. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. But I personally love By the Way. I mean, it's still one of those albums I love to put on and play along to. In all fairness, I've worn my copy out. It barely works now. It barely functions. But I think it's my second copy of it as well, actually. So I think I've absolutely burnt through 2 copies of it. But it's an amazing album. Really is. Like I say, it's just tinged with sadness and darkness, I feel. But, it's just a bit dodge in that respect, really. And I think people can kind of pick up on that subconsciously. Even if you're not aware of what happened around that time, I think you can kind of feel there's some kind of tension going on there. Because there is. I mean, I can feel it. It doesn't make me not love the album, but I kind of, it's a bit weird, if that makes any sense anyway. But I still love it. I think it's a great album. So yeah, about my opinion on By the Way is amazing, but I do understand what you mean by the fact that it kind of gets overlooked. I kind of understand that kind of that thought process. Excuse me. But yeah, it's an amazing album. It really is. I think there's something to be said for By the Way. It's super cool. But yeah, like I say, it's the first. I've got fond memories of it because it's the first album I learned. The first Chili Peppers album I learned front to back. So that's always kind of been kind of. It's always held a very special place for me, if that makes any sense. So yeah, but yeah, I know what you mean. But I love that album. It's great. And I say it's got one of my favourite Chili Peppers songs of all time on it. Don't Forget Me. So the moment I heard Don't Forget Me, I was just like, what is that? That really affected me, and it still really affects me now. It's just amazing. Anyway, so I hope it's this question. Going to move on to question 2 now. So question 2 is: do you ever have times where you don't want to play the guitar? Me, no. No, I always want to play the guitar. I just can't imagine life without it, and I don't want to. If that makes any sense. No, I always want to play guitar. I literally from the moment I wake up, I'd play guitar in my sleep if I could. But the moment I wake up, I want to play guitar. I want to listen to music, and I just want to be around them. And the thing about guitar is as well is sometimes if I've been playing guitar all day, I might necessarily not want to play the guitar. If I've been playing it for a couple of hours straight or whatnot, I might not necessarily want to play guitar, but I never want to get away from it. You know what I mean? I always want it there. I don't like being away from the guitar. I don't like it not being in my presence, if that makes any sense. And I don't like being out of its presence. I always like to be around the guitar. Like I say, unfortunately, life dictates that you can't take a guitar everywhere with you, unfortunately, in life. But if I could get away with having a guitar with me 24/7, no matter where I went, I would have a guitar with me 24/7. Because I just need it there. I'm not reliant on it, and it's not reliant on me, if that makes any sense. But I just love it that much. I can't be away from it. That love I have for the guitar and music is so strong that I can't imagine being away from it. And I don't like it when I am. I just miss it horrifically. The idea of not playing guitar is just kind of a big no-no for me. I don't want to grasp that concept. I've done that. I have gone, when I went on holiday years ago to France, I couldn't take a guitar with me, and I went a week without playing guitar. And it was hard. It was very hard, to be honest with you. And there have been other times where, like I say, I've been ill. In all fairness, illness barely stops me from playing guitar, though. I remember one time we had a gig with Duke's Deluder, and the night before the gig, I caught a sickness bug, 24-hour sickness bug that just basically wipes you out. And we had a gig the next day, and I was like, "Oh, that's typical, isn't it?" And I remember I was throwing up, and just so ill, and I was so weak, and eventually got a bit of sleep and had all these weird fever dreams that you have when you're ill. And I woke up the next day and I couldn't eat, and I could barely stand because I was weak. And I was like, I can't do the gig. But eventually, I went and did the gig. I had to sit down, but I still did it. And there's been many gigs, to be honest with you, that maybe it's made the illness worse. I remember I had a really bad chest infection one year, and we were gigging loads, and I had a really bad chest infection. I could barely breathe properly. It was a real struggle to breathe, and because I was singing as well, it made it even worse. But I still went out and did the gigs, and there's been times where I've had really bad kind of fluey cold things, and I've still played guitar. I've still gone out and done it, and it's just the world to me, and I don't really feel the need not to play. there are some days where I won't play as much as others, but that just dictates by what music wants of me that day. But there are days where, if I'm not playing as much, I'll still have the guitar nearby. I'll still be near a guitar. No ifs, no buts, just in case. I can't imagine life without it, and I don't want to. And I'm very comforted by it, much in the same way people are comforted by having a loved one nearby, or a close friend nearby, or a boyfriend, girlfriend nearby, or whatnot. I'm comforted by the guitar. That's my kind of thing. The only thing with a guitar is it, and the only thing with music is it can kind of it makes you feel less alone, which is great, definitely. But the only thing about music that you can't do is you can't hug music. If that makes any sense. It's one thing for it to be around you. You can feel it, and you can that thing, but you can't grab it. You know what I mean? You can't feel it physically, and sometimes that can get a bit much. And you can hug a guitar, but it can't hug you back either. That kind of thing, and that sometimes gets a bit much. But anyway, but no, there isn't really any times where I don't really want to play guitar. I just love it. I don't like not playing. I love it that much. It's just the idea of not playing is just way too weird. I always want to play the guitar. No matter what, I always want to play the guitar. And all I want to do is, talk about music and play and create music and just that kind of thing. And I get really frustrated and upset if I can't do that. So, it's really important for me to be always nearby these things, because I just kind of need that kind of release and comfort, and feel of company, if that makes any sense. So not really. No, I don't really have times where I don't play the guitar. Don't want to play guitar. I always want to play the thing. I always want it there. Especially that one. So I love it. It's just amazing. Anyway, I'm going to move on to question 3 now. So I hope this is a question. Question 3 today is: how do you remember all the different notes on the fretboard when your guitars are all in different tunings? I don't. I don't really know the notes on the fretboard, full stop. I go by shapes and patterns. I've never gone by notes because I can't do it that way. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't make sense if I start doing that. I mean, I can figure out the note that I'm playing, but it'll take me a couple of seconds. But I go by patterns. So if my guitar's in a different tuning, I'll know I'll have a certain pattern for that tuning, and I'll know where to go with it, if that makes any sense. But I've got a video called Unlocking the Neck where I show a diagram of how I see the guitar neck, and it's all in shapes. Shapes and patterns, and there's certain runs that look like certain shapes to me, and there's triangles, and there's a thing called the house, which is kind of like a Jimi Hendrix thing that I've spoke about in my Jimi Hendrix series. There's all these kind of runs and chords and stuff like that have certain shapes to them. That's what I go by. I don't really go by notes or going, oh, this is that key, I need to play this note. I go by by these patterns that I know, you know what I mean, and kind of, and again, what feels right at that point in time, not necessarily kind of well, I better play this note at this point. It's well, what happens if I don't? I like searching for that elusive note that will break your heart, make you happy, make you sad, whatever, just at the right time. That's what I want. That's what I'm always searching for, is those right notes at the right times. Not a million notes just willy-nilly. I want to play the right notes at the right time to convey exactly what I'm feeling. I don't want to be just kind of too involved with what I'm doing. I kind of want to be searching. I want to be looking for things. I want to be trying to find, what am I trying to say, and what am I trying to express with this, and what's the right feeling right now? What am I feeling? What am I trying to say? So when it comes down to different notes, I don't really know the notes on the fretboard. I never really have. Like I said, I did try at one point, try and learn guitar that way, and it didn't work way back when. It never worked. It was just one of those things that I just can't get my head around. It doesn't work. So I just eventually kind of had to figure out my own way, which is the shapes thing and learning out where to go. I mean, I still don't really know notes. I know shapes. I know the guitar through shapes and feel. Because I taught myself, you know, I didn't have formal guitar lessons for ever. So, you know, I taught myself how to go up and down the guitar neck and what works and what doesn't work. And, you know, and then through learning what works and doesn't work, it sent me on that kind of quest of trying to find the right notes at the right point in the right time kind of thing, instead of just kind of like playing notes willy-nilly. They've got to mean something. You know, it's all got to mean something. And, you know, I don't like playing mindlessly. It just doesn't work. I've been there and I've done that. I've done the shred thing. You know, when I was younger, it was, you know, it was a nice party piece to do when you're at a party or something and somebody says, oh, you play guitar? And you're just like, yeah. And you just shred and people are like... But... I don't want to do that anymore. You know, that ran its course for me fairly quickish, to be fair with you. And I kind of wanted to just kind of like get deeper into the music than that kind of playing will allow, in my opinion. Again, just my opinion. It doesn't feel right. You know, I need to express me, not it. Not the. I need to express my feelings, not my ego. If that makes any sense. Like, you know, I don't want to be kind of like, hey, look at me, I'm an amazing guitarist. I can't stand that. It really grates on me. You know, I don't want people to... When I play guitar, I don't even want people to see me, if that makes any sense. I want people to feel the music. I don't want people to see me. You know, 'cause I just don't like that. You know, I want people to feel what I'm trying to convey, not... oh, that technique was amazing, or whatever, or that was really fast. This, I know. It's like, no, I want you to feel that, you know. And until I can do that, I'm not good enough. You know, it's all about kind of expression, and that's really important to me. So, I've spoken about that a million times in the past, like, but yeah. So, I don't go by notes. I don't go by kind of like, you know, this, that, and the other. I just go by what kind of feels right. And like I said, I've been playing guitar for so long now that kind of like I could just go via feel, and I'm always searching for those elusive notes that just will perfectly convey what I'm trying to say at that point in time. And invariably, maybe if I'm playing for 10 minutes, say, invariably I might hit maybe, if I'm lucky, 2 of those notes. To me, you know what I mean? Like, you know, they're very rare and very elusive, but you've got to look for them. You know, you've got to search for them and you've got to work for them, and I like that. So, and invariably I won't hit many of them, you know, for me. But hopefully for other people it might connect. You know what I mean? And again, I don't want people necessarily to see me. It's all about the music. That's more important than kind of like, you know, whatever. You know, it's not really important to kind of like think about... you know, it's not about you, it's about music. You know, it's not about kind of like, you know, how good you are or how fast you are or technically advanced you are on the guitar. I feel it all comes down to feel. You know, it all comes down to kind of like what you know, to convey music, get music across, and get emotion across, and get experience across, and get heartache and sadness and loneliness and happiness and joy and excitedness and elation and all these emotions, all these human emotions. It's all about getting them into music and then projecting them out in a song, so people can then feel whatever they want to feel. Like, you know, because a song that you might play or record or write, you might feel really sad when you wrote it and play it, and you know, it might just really break your heart. But to somebody else, that might be like a warm blanket that comforts them and makes them feel happy. You know what I mean? You know, so it's all about kind of like, you know, individual perception. you know, we're all different. We all perceive things differently, and you know what one song means to somebody here will not be the same as what it means to somebody else over here, and that's wicked, and that's the point. So what song might break somebody's heart might lift somebody else up, you know, and that's the beauty and the gorgeousness of music. It's so what's the word? Subjective, you know, it really is. But you know, and it's all about, just as a musician, it's all about, for me, it's all about conveying those emotions instead of just being kind of like mindlessly playing, noodling, which I don't like to do. It's all about kind of, I need to convey something, I need to say something, you know, what am I trying to say, or what does music want me to say? You know, what does music want from me at this point in time, so to say. So, anyway, so I hope I made some kind of sense anyway. But yeah, so yeah, when it comes down to coming back to your question, because that went off, but come back, yeah, to the whole thing of like different notes on fretboard, I don't go by them, I just play by feel. You know what I mean? If I want to play fast, I'm trying to say something with it. If I'm playing slow, I'm playing it. So certain tones will conjure up certain moods and emotions. You know, it's all about that. So yeah, if that makes any sense. So but yeah, so that's that. I mean, like I say, I mean, I go by shapes, and you know, that's the way I see and play the guitar, and you know, that's the way it always worked for me, because I'm a very visual person. You know, I'm not good. I was never good at the theoretical side of music and stuff like that. And I think, you know, because I'm dyslexic and stuff like that, that always hindered me, because I'm not very good at reading tab, and I can't read music. You know, it's always kind of been a hindrance. So I've had to find my own way. And that's really important, I think, for any musician, is to find your own way. Is not necessarily kind of rely on just what people tell you is the right way. You need to find your way, because your way is the right way, not necessarily theirs. Because it worked for them doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for you. So you have to find your own way. So yeah, but I've spoken about that before. Anyway, yeah, walk your own path. That one. So anyway, so I hope that's this question. We can move on to the final question of the day, question 4 now. So question 4 today is: if you had the money to buy one of John Frusciante's guitars, which one would it be? Easy. 62 Strat. I don't think John would ever sell that, so I might have to just steal it from his house when he's not looking. I'll wait till he's asleep one night and just go to LA and whoop, run off with it. But it's that 62 Strat that's the one for me. You know, it's where my, you know, when I in the first year of me playing guitar, when I found John had a 62 Strat, that number just stuck with me, and it became my dream guitar. I never believed for one second I'd ever own one. But, you know, it just goes to show you can never predict the future. You don't know it. We don't know anything. We don't know anything, you know. We think we know as humans, like maybe sometimes, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen. We never know. And that's kind of like, that can be reassuring, comforting, and also at the same time absolutely terrifying and frustratingly annoying. You know, yeah, it's just one of those things. We're not supposed to know where we're going, you know, or what's going to happen. You know, it kind of defies the point. But if I had money to buy John Frusciante's guitar and he was selling it, I'd be buying his 62 Strat, because that is just the guitar. Like I say, I mean, the first time I saw that guitar was, you know, that really stuck out to me was in playing Under the Bridge on it, on our Top of a Pop special. You know, it's just been some reason that you know, because in that Top of a Pop special, they start with, I believe they start with Give It Away, and he's using his 55 Strat for that. And then they do By the Way after that, and he's using the 62 for By the Way. But that doesn't stick out to me. For some reason, and I'm pretty sure after that there's another song. But I could be wrong. But Under the Bridge comes along on that Top of a Pop special, and he's playing that 62 Strat, and you get some really good shots of it. I don't know, maybe you get better shots of it than you do in By the Way. Maybe that's why it stuck out. I don't know. I don't understand that, but I don't need to. But that 62 Strat, that guitar is like Dave Gilmour's Black Strat for Dave Gilmour and Pink Floyd fans, or Jimmy's white Woodstock Strat for Jimi Hendrix fans, or Alvin Lee's 335, or Eric Clapton's 335, or Blackie by the Eric Clapton one, or who else? BB King's Lucille. The way people kind of revere those guitars. Same thing with kind of like Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstrat. The way people revere those guitars, that's the way I feel about John's 62. It really is a very important guitar to me. It's a really important guitar for me and my guitar journey as well. It really was massively important seeing that guitar. And I say, if that's that number 62 as well, I don't know why that number has such meaning to me. Well, I do because of that guitar, but it always made sense. After I found out it was a 62 Strat, I always kind of made sense. Like, yeah, that makes sense. And that number always means a lot to me, I don't know why. It just does. Again, you don't need to know. You don't need to know. We're just, we're fleshy globules on the earth. We don't need to know everything. You just have to accept that certain things are the way they are, so to say, and kind of get on as best you can. Frustration be damned sometimes, unfortunately. But no, I mean, the 62 Strat of John's is so important to me. Like, it really is a special guitar to me. Like, it's more special to me than Jimmy's White Strat, or Rory Gallagher's 61, or Mike McCready's 59 Strat, or Peter Green's 59 Les Paul, or any of those guitars. It's a lot more important to me, that guitar is, than any other guitar from any of my other heroes. It's that 62 Strat. It really is massively important to me. And I say, to actually own a real 62, it was just bizarre. The whole story of that guitar is bizarre, and it's right. That how that 62 came along. It doesn't really make sense. But yeah, if that makes any sense, like, it's a bit weird how the 62 came to be. And like I say, I mean, it wasn't without trouble, that guitar. Not the guitar itself, just certain things. But yeah, John. I would love to know the serial number of John Frusciante's. I'd love to know how far off it is from mine, because my neck date is March 62. But I believe it would have been assembled in about June, mine. But saying that, it can't be because it's a slab board. I forget when Fender stopped doing slab board necks, but the neck is stamped March 62. Unfortunately, there's no body date. Unfortunately, because it's been refinished and it's well and truly lost to time. Unfortunately, I don't even know where it should technically be in the back cavity, but there's no way of finding it. The black lacquer's far too thick, and on there it'd be to get that off neatly. And to try and retain the body date would be impossible. You're going to take the body date with you. So it's not worth trying. But the neck is dated March 62. And I can imagine there's probably about a month between the two. So maybe it was assembled in April, maybe. I don't really know how to read pot date codes because it's got the original pots in the 62 as well. So I might have to look into that at some point and see if I can figure out, what they say, so to say. What was that? Sorry. Really weird noise came from over there. Sorry. Anyway. But yeah, if I could get one of John's guitars, it'd be his 62. But if I could just play one of John's guitars, it'd be his 62. I love the 55. I don't like White Falcon, so I'm not bothered about the White Falcon. I love his 55. And the other guitars, he's got his custom tele-custom, whichever way around goes around. The Martins, the double O's 15, or is it in a single? I don't know. I get lost with numbers. Playing John's 335 nearly had me in tears. Well, it pretty much did have me in tears. You know, it's very, very. When I was in Paris playing John's guitar, it was so heavy. Like, you know, the feeling. This is my hero's guitar. This is a guitar that belonged to a man who changed my life and doesn't even know it. You know what I mean? It was so, even more so than Jimmy's Strat and Paul Kossoff's Les Paul and Billy Gibbons' guitars and Joe Bonamassa's guitars. You know, John's guitar really hit me very strongly emotionally. More so than I thought. I tried to kind of block it out as well. I tried to kind of like breathe through it, which I was able to kind of do with Jimmy's guitar just. John's guitar, I was able to kind of play it and enjoy it, but it really nearly broke me. You know, I was like, hold it together, Dave. You hold it, you can't just break down into tears in this place. So I was kind of holding it together, and it was, you know, it was kind of one of those things that don't let people see you wiping your eyes, kind of thing, because it was just really strong. And I'll be forever grateful to Matt for inviting me to go and play that guitar and letting me play the others as well. And he just kept throwing guitars at me. It was such an amazing day. It really was. I was so grateful, and I can't wait to go back. But yeah, but I say, if that's how I was with John's through 5, that was in his collection for 15 years, can you imagine what state I'd be in if I got to play his 62 Strat? I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to play it, but I certainly would play it. Tears be damned, or whatever be damned, I would still play the bloody thing. Because that guitar is, like I say, is so important to me. As much as John's important to me, that guitar is really important to me as well. And it's so important. It's so important. I keep saying that. I'm trying to hammer it home. Anyway, but that'd be the guitar. That would be the one. That really would be the one. You know, out of all the iconic guitars in the world, that's the one for me. It's that 62 Strat. I mean, has he got it on that? Yeah, he's got it up there. You can't see that, unfortunately. But, you know, it's that 62 Strat is so important to me. It really is. I say. Anyway, but that's the guitar. That's the one I would pick. So yeah, anyway, I hope I've answered your questions okay, people of YouTube. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. I'll see you on Friday for another vid. I don't remember what it is because I'm stupid. Don't remember these things. But yeah, I'll see you on Friday for another vid. Have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening. And yeah, goodbye now. Thank you much indeed for watching. Hope I answered your questions okay.